He wouldn't be attending the meeting today, so Bill Starmer, the vice chair, gets the honors of calling the meeting to order.
Thank you very much, Steve. Good afternoon and Happy New Year to all. Welcome to the Clark County Regional Flood Control District Citizens Advisory Committee, January 3, 2022. And with that, I'll turn it over to Steve Parrish, our General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. We'll start with a roll call to verify the members on the call. So when you hear your name, if you could note that you're present. Start with James House.
I'm here.
Larry Carr.
Here.
Bertha Gutierrez.
Here.
I'll note for the record, Ron Newell is absent today, as well as Harshel and Jim Giordano. Brian Wilson. Bill Starmer.
I'm here.
Norm Ashford.
Present.
And Karina Berrigan.
Present.
Okay, I'm showing 6 members present, and we do have a quorum. Item number 1 is comments by the general public. Is there anyone on the call that is wishing to address the committee this afternoon?
Steve, Chris Figgins again. I'll just make my saying spill. If anybody has to get off, please let us know. We're only one. We have to have 5 to conduct the meeting, so we got to know for sure. So thank you.
Just interrupt us if you have to leave the meeting for some reason. And if anyone sees Brian Wilson log in, he did say he was going to be on the call based on the quorum call. So if you see him log in, move on to item 2, which is action to approve the agenda with the deletion of any items. Thank you. There's a motion on the floor for approval from Bertha Gutierrez. Any discussion on the motion? And everyone's on mute, so make sure you're off mute when you vote. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Item 3 is action to approve the minutes of the November 29, 2021 meeting. The minutes are in order for approval. Any discussion? Entertain a motion.
Norm Ashford, City of Mesquite, move to approve the minutes presented.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor for approval from Norm Ashford. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Item 4 is action to accept the financial reports. Mr. Vice Chair, we did get our sales tax numbers for the month of October. The numbers continue to set records. This is the 8th month in a row we've had over $1 million that we've collected in the month, which is kind of unheard of. We estimated about almost $9 million in our budget. It came in at 11.8 million, which is about 2.8 million above, or 31% above what we budgeted for the year. 4 months into the fiscal year, we've received a total of $46 million, which is about 9.9 million above what we've estimated to this point, which is about 27%. So pretty substantial revenues coming in. We are going to be processing, and unless there's any, one more slide. This is the rolling 12-month sales tax chart. Again, you can see a pretty steep climb as we recover out of the closures from the pandemic. Beginning around February 2021 is when we're starting to see a pretty steady increase. We're at least back to where we would be if you draw a straight line from the first months in the chart from October to February of 2020 straight across. We're right back about where we would be if there was no pandemic and no closures. So that's the good news. I think we're essentially recovering and pretty much back to where we would have been. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. If there are none, staff would recommend you accept the financial report.
I have a comment or a question. I don't know.
Okay.
I think some of it kind of makes sense because of just the prices of everything is up with inflation. The budget that y'all are going to rework, is that going to take that into consideration for current projects going on? I am assuming that the budgets that were set for those may be affected by inflation at the moment.
So we have a construction fund that, whatever monies that we don't use for operations or maintenance or debt service go into the construction fund, and we budget assuming all that money will be spent. So when you're looking at inflation, we're not budgeting for the cost of construction projects, but we recognize that inflation is going up and that bids are going to be coming in higher. So, the construction funding may not fund as many projects as we would like or hoped maybe a year or two ago, but that's just kind of the nature of the business. As projects go up and down, we just accommodate it. But so I guess to answer your question, there's not really a budgeted item for construction projects themselves individually. It's an overall construction fund, and each time we fund it, money comes out of that fund each time we fund a project.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions or concerns, comments? Entertain a motion.
Bill Starmer, City of Las Vegas, move to approve the item number 4.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor for approval from Bill Starmer. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Next slide, please. Item 5 is action to adopt amendments to the 10-year construction program. Mr. Vice Chair, these are amendments to the 10-year construction program for fiscal impacts that occur with items later on the agenda. Staff recommends approval. Any discussion? Entertain a motion.
This is Larry Carr with the City of Boulder City. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Larry.
Okay, this is Larry Carr from Boulder City. I make a motion to approve item 5.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor to adopt the amendments for the 10-year construction program by Larry Carr. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. That motion carries unanimously. Slide, please. Item 6 is action to accept the 11th amendment to the final accounting report and project closeout for the following project at Tropicana Wash at Swenson Construction in Clark County. You've seen this item, a similar item, many times in the past. This project the construction's been completed, but the contractor filed bankruptcy and there was a court action to pay some creditors. So that it was determined about $12,000 was owed to the flood control district, which they're allowed to pay out in installments. So this is an amended closeout in the amount of $1,198.79 for their latest installment. Staff recommends approval. Any discussion or questions on that? Entertain a motion.
Berta Gutierrez, Clark County, move to approve item 6.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the floor for approval from Bertha Gutierrez. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Slide, please. Item 7 is to receive the quarterly project status reports reporting period August 2021 through October 2021. Mr. Vice Chair, the reports are in your backup. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any, but there's no action required on this item. It's just to receive a report. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8. which is action to approve the third amendment to the professional services agreement with ICF Jones and Stokes, Inc. to extend the project completion date and increase funding for the development of a regional in-lieu fee mitigation program for future flood control master plan projects. So we have an agreement with ICF Jones and Stokes. They're a consultant that's helping us prepare an in-lieu fee program, which is a program that we can utilize to mitigate impacts to waters of the U.S. or the wetlands that might result as a result of construction of our projects. This is through 404 permitting with the Corps. We started this project a long time ago, quite a few years ago. We had been working on it, and the federal government keeps changing the rules on us. The Trump administration, they made waters of the U.S. a little ephemeral washes were not included as waters of the U.S. And so our expectation of what needed to be mitigated was reduced. But now that the Biden administration has come on board, they're switching back and putting ephemeral washes back in. So we're back in the situation where we need to have this mitigation banking for future projects. So we've fired this contract back up. We're adding $14,558 to the contract to try to complete the work on the mitigation banking project. We just with that, staff would recommend approval. Any discussion, comments, or questions? Entertain a motion.
Norm Ashe for C. Move to approve item rate as presented.
Okay. I think I heard a motion for approval from Norm Ashford. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Next slide, please. Item 9 is to receive a report on the award of bid for construction. Hello?
Sorry, Steve. Brian Wilson jumping in late. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, you're just now coming online?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let the record reflect that Brian Wilson came online after item 8. Item 9 is to receive a report on the award of bid for construction for local drainage improvements for the Luning Storm Drain, City of Las Vegas. Mr. Vice Chair, on April 8th, 2021, 10 bids were received on this project. The recommended best bid was to Harbor Company in the amount of $1,986,513, which was about 34.4% above the engineer's estimate that was presented to board in July of 2018. This report's a little dated. The city neglected to send in the report, and the project's actually completed construction, but we're just kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's with this item. There's no action required. It's just to receive a report, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have it. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 10, which is action to approve the first supplemental interlocal contract for maintenance to increase funding to the FY 2021-2022 maintenance work program in Clark County. Mr. Vice Chair, the Clark County has requested a supplement to their budget for maintenance of $1.1 million. This money is going to be used to update emergency action plans for detention basins in Clark County, and it's required as part of the dam safety program through the state of Nevada. In addition, they're going to use a substantial part of the funding to upgrade fencing. We're having more and more issues with homeless living and camping in our flood control facilities, which is dangerous and concerning for us. We have had some success putting a special type of fencing in. That's fencing that's used along railroads. Typically, it's difficult to climb and it's difficult to cut. And so we're going to have them put this fencing in around the Flamingo Wash and a few other places where the homeless populations are an increasing problem. So that's the reason for the additional funding. Staff recommends approval. Any discussion? Entertain a motion.
Bill Stormer, City of Las Vegas, move to approve item number 10.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor for approval from Bill Stormer. Bill Stormer. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. And that motion carries unanimously. Next slide, please. Item 11 is action to approve the interlocal contract for design for Meadows, Charleston via Olivero to Montessouni to Buffalo in the city of Las Vegas. This is a design interlocal, a new design interlocal for a new project with a total value of $1,129,000, which will pay for engineering, for entity design labor, right of way, and environmental. Staff recommends approval. Any discussion? Entertain a motion.
Berta Gutierrez, Clark County, move to approve item 11.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor for approval from Berta Gutierrez. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. That motion carries unanimously. Next slide, please. That brings us to item number 12, which is comments by the general public. Is there anyone on the call wishing to speak to the committee this afternoon on items related to the Regional Flood Control District? I will just wish everyone a happy new year. I hope you all enjoyed your holiday season. Thank you all for taking the time to call in today. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Starmer to close the meeting.
Thank you very much, Steve. Again, Happy New Year to everyone, and thank you for attending. And we will end the meeting at 3:20 p.m.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.